Hi, it's Alicia from the Pretty Brown Eyed Reader. Today I'm going to talk about some of my recent thrift store finds that I have read. The first book I read is They Tell Me of a Home by Daniel Black. Daniel Black is a professor at Clark Atlanta University, and he is originally from Arkansas. And my book club read his book Perfect Peace probably like 3 years ago, maybe a little longer. But anyway, I really enjoy his writing. He has a very interesting take on gender and sexual identity, and it's amazing how he writes these stories and he uses Arkansas, where he's from, as the backdrop to them. And like Perfect Peace, this book, They Tell Me of a Home, was set in Arkansas. But with his writing of this story, They Tell Me of a Home, okay, first of all, it's about a young man who goes off and gets his PhD, and he goes back home because he's trying to figure out who he is. So he goes back to Arkansas after he gets his PhD. I think he was in New York where he got it. I can't remember which school. So anyway, he finds out a lot about his family while he's home, and it's just a lot of crazy happenings. And the book is supposedly set in the 80s, 1980s, 1990s, but the way he describes the Arkansas, it makes it sound really, really backwoods, like 1940s, 50s, the way that people are living, but it's really supposed to be set in the 80s and 90s. And so it kind of makes me wonder what goes on in Arkansas. Because I thought Georgia had it bad, you know, with a racial and segregationist past. But the way he writes about Arkansas in his books, makes me wonder, like, what is going on there? But anyway, Mr. Black, his writing's just good. Hope you get a chance to check him out. The next book I read was The Village Bride of Beverly Hills, and it's by Kavita Daswani, and she is an Indian American author. And the premise of this book is a bride who is an arranged marriage. She was originally in India, and she's her marriage is arranged to a Indian American guy, and so she moves to America. Well, while she's in America, her mother-in-law tells her, well, since you're not getting pregnant, you need to just go to work. And so she goes to work for a magazine, and she eventually works her way up by different circumstances to where she's a celebrated writer, but her family knows nothing about it. Her married family, her family in India doesn't know either. So you have that struggle between you're reading, you're proud of what she's doing at work, but when she goes home, she's basically treated like the maid. So I found myself getting really, really frustrated with the main character, but at the same time, I want to be respectful of Indian culture and traditions. So it was that constant battle for me while reading it. But it's a very fast moving book, and it's not something that's very detailed, and it has piqued my interest about Indian culture and arranged marriages. I have to say that the ending was a little too fairy tale-ish for me. So all in all, it was a good book, but the ending could have been a little bit more realistic for me, I guess. I don't know. Didn't like the fairy tale part ending. And the last thrift store find that I read is a Frances Ray book, and it is Not Even If You Begged. My book club has read several Frances Ray books. She is an author that has passed away, but she wrote romance, I would say they're romance chick flick kind of books, and I haven't read one in a while because sometimes authors in that genre, most authors can't get into a formula for their writings, and I have figured out her formula for her writing, so it kind of always kind of know what's going to happen. But I like her writing because she always uses African American characters in professions that are not routinely thought of for African Americans, as well as living in houses and homes that people don't think African Americans live in. So I really appreciate her writing for that. The reason I picked this novel up was Hurricane Irma. When she got to Georgia, it was a tropical storm. However, it wreaked havoc on the state, and we were without electricity for a couple of days. So since I didn't have TV or no way to charge my phone, so I couldn't be watching YouTube videos and all that, so I read that book, and I picked it up one morning. I was probably done by the afternoon, and it was like, okay, good, I had an all-day soap opera. Oh, but the premise of this book is about a 30-ish lady who, her husband dies shortly after they're married, and she finds out that he was having an affair. Matter of fact, he was with his mistress when he died. And so she's bitter about him dying with his mistress, and people think that she's bitter because she was a newly married woman and her husband was gone. But anyway, she joins his widows club, and the widows, of course, are older, and they have been with their husbands for many years, and they really truly miss their husbands because that was their lifetime companion. And so one of the ladies in the club, she has a son who is an eligible bachelor, who is a doctor, and the young widow is a lawyer, so they hook up. Matter of fact, she's like a crisis management lawyer, and they hook up, and so you have the tension from her past, and she thinks that he's a playboy. And then with Frances Ray's book, she always has the primary relationship, and then there's a secondary relationship. So the secondary relationship was the doctor's mother also gets involved into a relationship with a younger man, so she's a cougar in it. So with her book, she always had the primary and a secondary relationship, so you see how those couples mesh and how they fare out. And so I really enjoy Frances Ray's books, and if you're looking for a light read, something, if you're at the beach, or just not really wanting something heavy, she's a great writer to read. So those are 3 books that I found at the thrift store recently, and well, maybe within a year or so, I don't know how long it's been. But anyway, I read those over the past month or so. If you've read any of them, please let me know. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.